In this video, we'll go over the basics of the UI and get started in importing assets into ArtEngine. Whenever opening a new ArtEngine file, the first thing to do is to import assets. We can easily do this by dragging and dropping an image onto the graph area to get started. On the left-hand side is our asset library. Any resources brought into ArtEngine will be shown here. We can also drag and drop multiple files at once. So this time I'll drag a full material, this time into the library instead of the graph. We can start working with any imported assets by dragging and dropping them into the working area. Now I have all my bitmaps for the material that I want to work on. Another method is to consolidate these into a single material node. I'll just delete these, and in the library, with the map selected, I'll right-click and choose Create Material. We'll just give it a useful name, and ArtEngine will auto-detect the type of map by its naming convention. Now our library has those maps consolidated into a single material node. We can use the filters up top to list different asset types. Let's drag and drop the material into the graph area. So now we have a single bitmap and a material collection to work with. Double-clicking on the material will cause the selection to show up in both the 2D window, which is on the top left, and in the 3D window, shown in the top right. So if I double-click on the single bitmap, we can see both windows updating. Let's explore the 2D window a little bit. To pan around, either use the left mouse click or middle click. Press F at any point to frame your canvas, and use the mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Looking at the options above, we can enable tiling view. The hotkey to enable and disable this is Tab. Next, we have our channels dropdown. Because this is a single image, we only have one channel available. So let's double click on our material collection instead. Now our dropdown has all available channels. Press C to cycle through these. We also have our info bar, which gives pixel information relative to your mouse cursor, your histogram. We can view the channel in grayscale and also go through each color channel in isolation. We'll just select the last icon to view in RGB mode. So each window can be torn off and docked onto other parts of the UI. Let's take this 2D window and pull it off. We'll dock it to the bottom left next to our graph area. Let's take a look at our 3D window now. We'll start by double-clicking on the single bitmap. To navigate in the 3D view, left mouse click to rotate, middle mouse to pan, and scroll wheel to zoom. Again, just press F to frame the view. Let's start by going over material parameters by clicking on the icon in the top right. These options control the default material parameters of the material being shown. Because we are only viewing a single albedo map in the viewport, these parameters will fill in the other channels like roughness and metallic. So here I can control the default roughness value and the overall material tint, and metalness if we want to. If we double click on the full material and go back to the shader settings, because we now have height information to work with, we can dial up the displacement settings and see the results in the viewport. This material has a roughness map, so the value adjustments here will be null. However, we can still tint the albedo if we like, or add metalness, since we don't have a metalness map for this material. Next, we can change the geometry being shown in the viewport. I'll change this to a plane, since we're working on a ground surface. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and also increase the tiling. Next, we have our camera settings if you'd like to modify the field of view or type of camera. If we zoom back in a 3D window, you'll notice a white sphere. This is our point light in the scene. We can rotate this by pressing Shift and right mouse clicking. Lighting settings are also here. We can enable shadows, tint the color, and turn up the brightness just to see the effect. Or we can just completely disable it and rely on the HDRI map. Our last option on the toolbar controls our environment map. I can change the map to something different and rotate it by pressing Shift left click. It's a little bit hard to see, so I'll go back and increase the opacity. Now we can see our environment map rotating. At any time, if I want to reset my UI, we'll go up to Window, Workspace, and just choose Reset Workspace.